Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. In the world of coin collecting, there are stories that fascinate and legends that astonish. Among the vast ocean of US coins, one particular piece has captured the curiosity of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike: the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it seems like just another ordinary coin. A simple, silver-toned quarter most of us have flipped, spent, or lost in a couch cushion. But behind its common appearance lies a rare and astonishing truth that could make your pocket change worth a small fortune. To truly understand the magic of the 1965 Washington quarter, we have to take a step back into history. The year 1965 marked a major turning point in American coinage. Silver prices were rising rapidly, and the U.S. Mint was faced with a serious problem. The cost of producing silver coins was exceeding their face value. In response, a monumental change was made. Starting in 1965, the Mint transitioned from using 90% silver in quarters to a clad composition of copper and nickel. But transitions aren't always smooth, and this is where the story takes an extraordinary turn. During the early months of production in 1965, a rare mistake occurred at the Philadelphia Mint. Some quarters were accidentally struck using silver planchets, the same kind used in previous years. These silver planchets somehow found their way into the presses and were struck with the 1965 date. This incredible error created one of the most sought-after coins in modern American numismatics. Imagine finding a 1965 quarter in your change jar or at a yard sale and discovering it wasn't made from the standard copper-nickel clad, but from precious silver. How could you possibly tell the difference? One of the easiest ways is by the coin's edge. Regular 1965 quarters have a distinct copper-colored edge due to their layered metal composition. A silver quarter, however, has a solid silver edge with no trace of copper. It's a tiny detail, but one that could be worth thousands of dollars. And that's not all. The weight of the coin can also give away its secret. A clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while the silver version is slightly heavier at around 6.25 grams. It may not sound like much, but to a trained eye, or even a small scale, it's enough to raise an eyebrow and set hearts racing. These rare silver-struck 1965 quarters are what collectors dream of. They weren't supposed to exist. They were never officially released. Yet, a handful slipped through the cracks of history and into circulation. Over the decades, only a few confirmed examples have surfaced, making them exceptionally rare and valuable. But here's where the story becomes even more captivating. In a world of millions of coins, why would anyone pay a fortune for just one? Because in the realm of numismatics, rarity is king. Combine that rarity with a historical error and pristine condition, and you've got a recipe for something extraordinary. Auction houses have seen bidding wars over these rare quarters. Coin grading companies have authenticated a very small number of them, and collectors who once doubted their existence have come to recognize them as genuine U.S. Mint errors, solidifying their legendary status in the coin community. What's the highest price someone has paid for a 1965 silver Washington quarter? Brace yourself. In an eye-popping, history-making moment, one of these rare coins sold for $175,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter, a coin with a face value of 25 cents, sold for $175,000. Just imagine finding one in your drawer or receiving it in your change. That ordinary-looking coin could be your unexpected fortune. This is why collectors never stop searching. This is why everyday people are suddenly checking the edges of their quarters with flashlights and scales. Because hidden treasures still exist. Because something extraordinary might be hiding in plain sight. The next time you come across a 1965 quarter, take a second look. Examine the edge. Weigh it if you can. You never know. You might just be holding a piece of American history, and a coin worth more than its weight in gold. Top 2. In a world where most coins come and go without a second thought, every once in a while, a seemingly ordinary coin turns out to be something truly extraordinary. The Washington quarter, a familiar piece of American currency, has been in circulation since 1932. Over the decades, billions have been minted, passed from hand to hand in gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, and parking meters. But not all Washington quarters are created equal. And one date in particular, 1979, hides a story that has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and even casual coin enthusiasts across the country. At first glance, the 1979 Washington quarter doesn't look any different from the millions of others minted that same year. Featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse and the proud eagle on the reverse, it seems like just another piece of pocket change. But hidden among the ordinary are a few remarkable errors, unusual minting quirks, and rare varieties that transform this everyday coin into a valuable collector's item. To understand why the 1979 quarter has become such a sensation, we have to look beyond the surface and dive into the details. In 1979, the United States Mint was operating with intense pressure. The demand for coins was high, and minting facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco were working at full capacity. With so many coins being produced, it's no surprise that a few mistakes slipped through, and those mistakes are now worth serious money. Among the most valuable versions of the 1979 quarter are those that were struck with errors, some on the wrong metal planchet, others with off-center strikes, and some with double dies, where the image or lettering appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. Each of these errors tells a story of how even the most precise systems can falter under pressure. And when they do, the result is often something much rarer and more valuable than anyone could have predicted. One of the most fascinating types of valuable 1979 quarters involves transitional planchet errors. Occasionally, a coin might have been struck on a leftover blank from a different year, or even on a planchet intended for a different denomination entirely. When these rare errors occur and are later discovered, they command immense interest and high prices among collectors. The rarity and mystery behind how these errors came to be only add to their allure. Another important aspect to consider is the condition of the coin. While many 1979 quarters have been heavily circulated, a few have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coins that have been well preserved, showing no signs of wear, scratches, or tarnish, are graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. These top-tier specimens are especially prized, and when combined with an error or unique characteristic, their value can skyrocket. So, why do collectors care so deeply about a single quarter from 1979? Because coins are more than just currency. They're pieces of history, snapshots of a moment in time. The Washington quarter is a symbol of American pride and craftsmanship. And when you discover a coin that not only represents that history but also carries a rare anomaly, it becomes something truly special. Imagine holding a coin that others have passed over for decades, unaware of its hidden value. Imagine flipping through a stack of old quarters and suddenly realizing that one of them has something different, something rare. It might be a slight doubling in the date, a missing mint mark, or a strange weight or tone. To most people, it's still just 25 cents. But to a trained eye, it's a treasure waiting to be recognized. These rare coins don't just end up in museums or private vaults. Some of them are still out there, hiding in plain sight, in coin jars, old drawers, flea markets, and antique shops. That's what makes the hunt so thrilling. The possibility that a simple quarter could be a jackpot in disguise keeps the excitement alive. And now, the part you've been waiting for. Just how much could one of these rare 1979 Washington quarters be worth today? In a jaw-dropping moment that stunned the collecting world, a pristine and rare error coin from that very year sold at auction for an astounding $145,000. Yes, a single quarter, a coin most of us would toss into a tip jar without a second thought, was sold for $145,000. The next time you find yourself holding a 1979 quarter, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a close look. Examine the mint mark. Check the edges. Look for signs of doubling or anything out of the ordinary. Because buried within the coins we see every day are rare pieces of history, and perhaps even life-changing discoveries. Keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and who knows? You might just find a coin worth far more than 25 cents, something worth $145,000. Happy hunting! Top 3. We're going to explore one of the most underestimated coins in modern American history, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar. It's a coin you've likely seen or handled countless times without giving it a second thought. But there's more to this quarter than meets the eye. Behind that familiar face of George Washington lies a tale of economic change, minting confusion, and hidden treasure that could turn a simple coin into a life-changing discovery. Let's begin by traveling back to 1982. The United States was in the midst of a recession. Inflation was on the rise, unemployment was high, and the U.S. Mint was looking for ways to cut costs. One major decision made during that year was to stop producing uncirculated mint sets, those carefully packaged coins made for collectors. It might not seem like a big deal, but this single change would ripple through the coin collecting world and ultimately make certain 1982 quarters extremely rare and highly sought after. Without official mint sets to preserve uncirculated coins, collectors had to rely on what was in general circulation. That meant most of the 1982 quarters out there were used daily, tossed in pockets, dropped on floors, spent at stores. Very few remained in pristine, untouched condition. And that's just one part of what makes them so special. But there's more. In 1982, the Mint also introduced a cost-saving measure involving the quarter's design and mint marks. That year, quarters were produced with slight design differences, especially in the mint mark, the small letter that shows where the coin was made. Some were made in Philadelphia with no mint mark, others in Denver with a D. But even among those from the same mint, collectors have identified two distinct varieties, the strong strike and the weak strike, or no detail varieties, particularly noticeable in the clarity of the date and lettering. These subtle variations turned ordinary coins into unique collectibles. If you've ever looked at a 1982 quarter and thought it seemed a little different, you might not be imagining things. And you might be holding something worth far more than face value. One of the most legendary finds from this year is a 1982 D quarter with a strong die strike, known among experts as one of the finest examples of that minting year. It's not just the condition that makes it rare, it's the combination of flawless preservation, the strength of the strike, and the specific minting variety. Because no uncirculated mint sets were produced that year, high-grade examples are few and far between. Finding one in perfect condition today is like discovering a time capsule from 1982. Now, here's the twist that really turns heads. Some 1982 quarters were accidentally struck on planchets from earlier years or even foreign coins, resulting in dramatic and valuable minting errors. These rare off-metal strikes, combined with exceptional condition or a rare variety, have turned what should be a 25-cent coin into a collector's holy grail. And the demand for these special 1982 quarters continues to grow, as more collectors seek to complete their collections with the finest and rarest examples available. What makes this even more exciting is the fact that these coins are still out there. They're not all locked away in museums or private collections. They can still be found in old coin jars, estate sales, inherited collections, and yes, even in pocket change. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns ordinary moments into thrilling treasure hunts. So how do you know if your 1982 quarter is valuable? Start by looking closely at the mint mark. Examine the strength of the design, the clarity of Washington's hair, the detail in the lettering, the depth of the eagle on the back. Weigh it if possible and compare it to standard specifications. Sometimes, the tiniest difference can mean the largest reward. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the true highlight of this incredible journey. One very special 1982 Washington quarter, a near-perfect specimen of the Denver Mint with a powerful strike and flawless condition, shocked the coin-collecting world when it sold for an astonishing $115,000. That's right, what started as a simple quarter, worth just 25 cents at face value, went on to change hands for $115,000. It's stories like this that keep collectors searching, that make everyday people look twice at their spare change, and that remind us all that hidden treasures still exist. The next time you come across a 1982 quarter, don't overlook it. Take a moment. Inspect it carefully. You never know. Your pocket change might just contain a piece of American history, and possibly a coin worth $115,000. Top 4. It's amazing how something as small and ordinary as a quarter can carry with it a story that stretches across time, history, and even mystery. Among the billions of coins minted in the United States, most are used, forgotten, or tossed in jars without a second glance. But every once in a while, one of these coins turns out to be a rare and astonishing piece of American history. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1970 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that, to the naked eye, seems completely unremarkable, yet hides a secret that has stunned collectors and numismatic experts around the world. That let's rewind the clock to 1970. America was deep into a time of cultural change, technological innovation, and global tension. While people were listening to rock and roll and watching the moon landing on black and white TVs, the U.S. Mint was continuing its essential but largely unnoticed work, producing the coins that powered the nation's economy. In that year, millions of Washington quarters were minted, as they had been every year since 1932. With the familiar image of George Washington on the front and the heraldic eagle on the back, the 1970 quarter looked like any other. But looks, as they say, can be deceiving. While most 1970 quarters are completely ordinary, there is one particular variety that changed the way collectors look at this year. A variety so rare and so strange, it left people scratching their heads. It's what experts call a proof error, a coin never meant to enter circulation, struck under unusual and highly controlled conditions, but somehow released into the wild. And this specific error isn't just any minor minting slip. It's a Washington quarter that was accidentally struck over a 1941 Canadian quarter. That's right, a U.S. coin struck on a previously minted foreign coin. How did this happen? That's the million-dollar question, or, more accurately, the $100,000 question. Some believe it was a mistake, an overlooked planchet that made its way into the dies. Others speculate it may have been a deliberate act by a Mint employee, perhaps as a joke or a secret keepsake that somehow escaped into the world. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The result is one of the most fascinating and valuable minting anomalies in U.S. coin history. If you were to look closely at this legendary 1970 quarter under magnification, you'd see the faint details of the 1941 Canadian coin, design elements that shouldn't be there, like remnants of lettering and outlines from the original coin hiding beneath the American imagery. This collision of two nations' currencies, frozen in metal, is a one-in-a-billion oddity. But that's not the only rare version of the 1970 Washington quarter that collectors are hunting for. Some quarters from this year have dramatic doubling in their design, especially in the words, "In God We Trust," or the date itself. Others may have weak or missing mint marks, off-center strikes, or unusual die alignment. These small flaws, what the Mint calls errors, are what collectors call gold mines. What makes these coins so valuable isn't just the error itself. It's the combination of rarity, mystery, and condition. A coin with a visible error is one thing, but finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition elevates it to an entirely new level. It's like stumbling upon a rare book in mint condition or discovering a forgotten painting from a great master. Now here's where things get truly mind-blowing. One of these rare 1970 quarters, specifically the one struck over a 1941 Canadian coin and preserved in nearly flawless condition, went on to become a headline-making, record-breaking sale in the numismatic world. It passed through the hands of experts, was certified by top grading agencies, and eventually found its way to auction, where it shocked everyone with its final hammer price. Imagine reaching into your pocket and finding a quarter that looks ordinary but hides a secret so powerful it could pay off a house. That's exactly what happened when this coin sold. Not for 25 cents, not for a few hundred, not even for a few thousand. It sold for a staggering $165,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter, one coin, sold for $165,000. That's why collectors keep searching. That's why the buzz around the 1970 Washington quarter hasn't died down in decades. Because these treasures aren't buried in the ground or locked in bank vaults. They're hiding in plain sight, in old change jars, forgotten collections, and coin rolls sitting in drawers to own next time you get a handful of change back from the grocery store. Take a moment. Look closely. Examine the year. Flip it over. What you hold in your hand might seem like spare change, but it could also be a key to one of the most astonishing coin finds in American history. The hunt is still on. And with a little luck, a sharp eye, and a bit of patience, the next one to discover a 1970 Washington quarter worth $165,000 just might be you. Top 5. In every pocket, drawer, and dusty coin jar across America, there are small pieces of history waiting to be rediscovered. They're disguised as everyday objects, passed from hand to hand, often unnoticed, unappreciated, and underestimated. But once in a while, one of these coins reveals itself to be far more than spare change. It becomes a symbol of hidden value, a historical treasure, and for a few lucky individuals, a life-changing discovery. And today, we turn our attention to one such coin. The 1973 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, the 1973 quarter looks just like every other. It carries the proud profile of George Washington on the front, his determined gaze facing left, and on the reverse, the bold image of the eagle perched above a bundle of arrows. It's a design that Americans know well, one that's been part of our daily lives for decades. But beneath the surface of this simple 25-cent piece lies a story worth exploring, one that has stirred up the coin-collecting world with excitement, speculation, and yes, even fortune. To understand why the 1973 Washington quarter has become the focus of attention, we need to explore what was happening during that time. The early 1970s were a period of economic uncertainty. Inflation was climbing, the US dollar was facing pressure, and the price of metals was fluctuating rapidly. The US Mint, always under pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently, was constantly adjusting its processes to keep up with demand. This combination of speed and stress sometimes led to mistakes, tiny errors that were undetected by the Mint but didn't go unnoticed by collectors years later. Now, when it comes to the 1973 quarter, there are a few factors that make this coin so intriguing. First, it's not just the year that matters, it's the details. Some 1973 quarters were struck using misaligned dies. Others display doubling in the lettering or date. There are even examples with weak strikes, missing mint marks, or unusual planchet compositions. These aren't visible to the untrained eye, but for those who know what to look for, these small irregularities can mean the difference between a standard coin and an incredibly rare find. One of the most prized errors involves a rare off-metal strike. In some cases, coins intended to be quarters were mistakenly struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or even for pennies. The result? A quarter-sized coin with the weight, color, or texture of another denomination or even another country. These mistakes are so rare and so difficult to find that they can send shockwaves through the collector community when one finally surfaces. Then there's the question of condition. In the world of coins, condition is everything. A 1973 quarter that's been through decades of circulation might still be interesting, but it won't break any records. But a coin that's been preserved in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, that's where the real magic happens. Mint-state coins, those with no signs of wear, flawless luster, and razor-sharp details, are incredibly rare, especially from a year like 1973 when no special collector sets were released for general circulation. Now, imagine the excitement of finding a 1973 quarter with both a rare mint error and near-perfect preservation. That combination of rarity, historical significance, and immaculate condition is what collectors dream about. And it's why the search never ends. Coin enthusiasts comb through rolls of quarters, visit estate sales, and sort through inherited collections in hopes of finding that one-in-a-million piece. The story becomes even more remarkable when we talk about auctions. Over the years, coin auctions have become places where history meets high stakes. Bidding wars erupt over rare finds, with collectors willing to spend tens of thousands, or even more, for the right coin. And when it comes to the rarest of the rare, those numbers climb into jaw-dropping territory. One such quarter, a 1973 Washington quarter struck on an experimental or off-metal planchet, and graded at a stunningly high mint state level, made headlines when it surfaced in the auction world. The details of the coin were astonishing. It had a striking brilliance, sharp relief, and a known minting anomaly that set it apart from the rest. Collectors recognized immediately that this was no ordinary quarter. It was something special, something historic, something rare. And when the final gavel fell and the dust settled, that small piece of American currency, originally worth just 25 cents, was sold for an eye-watering, jaw-dropping price. The lucky owner of this coin walked away with a fortune, and the quarter itself secured its place in numismatic history. Oh, how much was this humble-looking quarter actually worth? The final sale price of this exceptional 1973 Washington quarter was a staggering $125,000. That's right. A coin that most people would pass over without a second glance. A quarter likely sitting unnoticed in a pocket or tucked away in a drawer turned out to be worth $125,000. This is why the thrill of coin collecting never dies. It's the possibility that something ordinary could turn out to be extraordinary, that an everyday object could unlock a hidden treasure, and that even in the most overlooked corners of our lives, there are still mysteries waiting to be found at SO. The next time you get a handful of change, take a closer look. You never know what you might find. That quarter in your hand, it could be your golden ticket. It could be your one-in-a-million discovery. And if you're really lucky, it might just be the next coin worth $125,000.